Welcome to the No Filter Fitness of Moms Who Lift podcast, where we bring you real people, real stories, with an action plan to match your goals. Hello, everyone. So, yes, we're fine. We actually made it to episode 3. My goodness, right? Elle, did you think we were going to get to episode 3? This has been quite some time in the making for stuff. But can I tell you something? So we're
Now
actually
we can
good,
shut up.
right? Now we can shut up, exactly. So this is right in line with habit formation. See, me and Elle could not implement this habit of starting a podcast, and now we are finally doing it. So it's actually going to be right in the works and in line with what we're talking about. But yeah, I mean, obviously, if you're listening, we are still in quarantine, and we're getting, I think, one day at a time closer to getting out. Um, and in terms of habits, I mean, I think we can all agree that we need certain habits in place in order to see a certain result, right? And the saying that goes, yeah, a dream without a plan is just a wish, right? So it's the same concept that can be implemented into having a goal but no plan, and the plan is your habit. So basically, the topic is why your habits are more important than you actually setting a goal. Because, and I'll put it, and I'm going to explain to you why. So, your goal, let's say, of losing 10 pounds is a great goal to have, right? But if you don't have a set plan of actions that you're going to take in order to achieve that goal, you will never get there. Now, yes, you can get there short term, meaning you can cut corners, right? Let's say go on a very aggressive diet. You will lose the weight, but what's going to happen is you did not have a set ritual of habits in place. And so once that aggressive diet that you went on kind of stops, and you will stop, you revert back to your old self, which is your identity of yourself, and back to your old habits. So you did not build any new habits in the process. And so this is why, you are basically back to the start, probably sometimes even worse off, and it's called yo-yo dieting, which many people have been on that road before,
So
not
is that
understanding
right?
why it's happening. They thought that something's wrong with them. It's not something that's wrong with you, it is something that's wrong with your process. So that's what I wanted to kind of define. And just to give someone an understanding, it's kind of like going to the garden, right, and planting a seed in your garden. And you come there every single day, you nourish this seed by watering it, by making sure, there's no weeds, the soil is good, there's sunlight, and eventually, over a period of time, it starts to sprout and grow. That is the same thing as you having a habit. And reaching that goal of growth.
And it turns out to be
It
an
is.
ugly as flower.
It doesn't have to be a flower. It could be a cucumber. It could.
Or ugly as vegetable. Something that you hate. You Some people that are listening, they freaking hate vegetables. And you're gonna grow that shit for them. They fucking hate it. And you're gonna grow them. Great.
Listen, they can grow whatever they want, but that is the concept.
The
That's
visuals.
the concept
This
behind your habits.
You're talking about the visuals or whatever you want has to be something that you really want. So you were talking about our why, our motivation, the goal has to be not just something that you really want. So because it's something that's gonna motivate one person like a fucking cucumber, as we realized motivates you, your vegetable, and it's like a flower will motivate me. So the I'm not gonna I'm gonna set a goal of growing a goddamn cucumber. For me, growing a gorgeous flower is a motivation. No, but seriously, that's true. Set something that's not, something that's worth. It should be your why should be worth it, and it really I understand things when I can relate to them. We all will do better when we can relate to the goal. Correct. So, and what I can relate to is going to be different than what someone else. So that create the habit to come to the goal, and the little habits. We can also say they can be. It's like a plan, a small to achieve what to achieve our goal. Small steps. So where your plan is those small steps, which are maybe habits, correct, to achieve that goal. So when you create that step process or a habit process, then you keep going there and it becomes something that you do all the time. So year after year, you grow your garden or you create that process of getting fit. So you know you wake up, you gotta go to the gym in the morning, or you gotta do your exercises now in the morning, not wait. Or you know you're better off setting your kids together or getting your kids something to do before they start driving you crazy if you're staying home with the kids now and then going to exercise. Just know what works for you, set that process, create those habits, and and practice them daily. I think to get your goal, something like that. I think it's very good. A little bit of a takeaway of at least this part of the conversation, setting up the process that works for you for the goal that you really want.
Absolutely. And I think anytime you're going to start any sort of process, you definitely need to ask yourself a few hard questions. Okay. And we're not talking about just like basically answering as a yes because you want to achieve it. How likely and how committed are you to be able to do what you want to do, like what you just set out to do, right? So if you have the goal again, because this is, we talk about fitness and nutrition and health, but obviously it can pertain to anything in your life. But if your goal, let's say, is to lose the 10 pounds and your first plan is to actually set a schedule to go to the gym, right? How likely are you to go to the gym? And set yourself a realistic expectation of what it is that you're going to commit to. Is it going to be 3 times a week? What days are you going to go on? What are the times? What kind of exercise are you going to do? You have to be so specific with your
Yes,
plan in
very
order for
specific.
it to stick, because we as humans, and the way our brain works is, if the plan that you're trying to implement has a lot of roadblocks and it's very difficult to do, you will not stick to it. So you have to be so specific to the T exactly what you're trying to produce. And at the same time, there's something called habit stacking, meaning you basically tell yourself, okay, I am going to go to the gym on Monday, right as soon as I get into my car from work, and I'm going to drive to the X place to do it, and I'm going to do the following exercise or the following classes, whatever it is that you pick, and you literally have to spell it out to yourself what it is that
Yes,
you're trying to do. And that, it, again, goes back to you planning it, writing it down, because the more you can reassure yourself and know exactly what you're going to do, the more you're going to do it. And so back to the commitment. The commitment is, zero, you're not committed. I get a heart. Wow, look at this, Elle. My
it's
goodness.
hard.
It's right. It's a heart. It's right in the middle of your
It's hard
forehead.
to
I
see.
love it.
I don't. I'm trying to see. What's that?
Oh man, we got a thumbs up.
Okay. So I'm discovering. See, talking about. I'm discovering my phone and things that it can do. Yeah, go ahead.
So with the commitment, you've got 0 to none, and obviously at 10, you're going to walk through fire, right? If you're on that level of like 8, 9, 10, you're going to walk through fire no matter what. You're most likely going to stick to what it is that you plan to do. So think about it like this, right? Where do most people fall short in terms of their commitments? You want to get to the gym, right? And you're like, okay, I'm going to start going to the gym, whatever the case may be. But then all of a sudden it's like, oh, today my friends want me to go to dinner, or I had to stay at work a little bit later. I'm
Yeah,
stressed.
because my boss is
My
such a fucking dick. Because my boss doesn't give a shit. If I work 9 to 5, I have to work 9 to 9, and then have to work 25-hour days because my boss is a dick. So what do you do now? So yes, your commitment should be hard enough to tell your boss, you know what, motherfucker, I have another commitment. Goodbye, Felicia.
to a point, yes. I mean, obviously, if
Yes,
if
you've
if this
got
is
to be
a
able.
it's if it's a one-off, you need to be very firm with your goals. But at the same time, listen, I mean, we do live real lives, right? And so if your job requires you to stay, over for a period of time
Don't
unexpectedly. Let's say it's unexpected, and
adjust the
this
goal.
happens once in a while, sure, then you do adjust your goal, right? Then you're going to say, okay, today I worked till 9 o'clock and I was supposed to get up, let's say, at 5. Then guess what? Tomorrow morning, I'm going to get up early, Make yourself get up early. Set yourself up to win by getting up early. By doing what? By setting out all of your clothes for you. By setting your alarm. By literally, and in the evening, telling yourself this: I am going to get up. This is important to me. I need to get my workout in. And I'll tell you like this: inconveniences expose how committed you are. And so this is your inconveniences.
Yes.
Roadblocks are constantly going to come up. If you're going to have an
Constant.
excuse to your right, if you're going to have an excuse to your roadblock, you will never achieve your goal.
Instead of excuses, I think it's important to identify right away why I cannot stick to it. Why? Maybe the goal needs to, not the goal, the habits or the steps needs to be reevaluated and find a different step. Maybe that step that you originally created to get to the gym at a certain time does not work. Maybe you need a different
Right.
step at different time to the gym, or maybe you need a different workout. Maybe instead of going to the gym to do a class or run on the treadmill, you go outside and do something different. Because there's always, especially now in this pandemics, and I think I, shared it with you in our conversations off the air. I find it I have to constantly adjust the way that I train myself because it seems to every time I seem to be able to say, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. There's something happened and I don't have an opportunity to do it because I was for so many years, it was such a different schedule for me. But what I realized, I need to be very flexible, which is not my strongest my strongest character to be flexible. I'm a scheduled person. I do the same thing over and over. I'm committed and I'm doing it. But now I realize how important it is to adjust. So yes,
Absolutely.
definitely.
Yeah,
More,
I mean,
I just
listen,
not giving up, not giving up.
no, it's definitely not giving up, and it's also understanding that if
Talking about yo-yo
sometimes,
dieting, people revert. People just give up. They're like, you know what? I'll never lose the weight. I'm
and
done.
the reason why people give up is there's a couple things. One is they have the wrong process in place, right? They want it
Correct.
fast. People want things that have immediate gratification. And anything that is worth having, and especially creating a habit, is not going to be a fast process. It is like I mentioned, it is a seed. You have to nourish that seed and keep watering it for it to start to sprout. You don't even see it sprout. Just like you don't see the changes. It's not you going to the gym 3 times a week and then a week you're like, yes, I'm gonna have my six-pack abs. No, you're starting it. It's great. It's gonna take a long time for you to achieve it. And what happens is, majority of the people, when they see successful people, right? Let's say they saw someone lose weight or they saw someone um, uh, change their physique, right? They think it was an instantaneous goal or an overnight achievement, where in reality it was one small habit, one small step that that person took over a course of a very, very long time in order to achieve what they have. And it was a long process. They just never gave up. It's basically going through a plateau. That's what it is. And people give up right before that plateau is about to shift.
Yes. In you're trying to do things and make things better or enhance things so you can stay committed to your goals. This is what I found is writing everything down what you're gonna do. So I, instead of writing things down the way I usually do, keeping my calendar in like a regular book, like a paper calendar, I've never were able to use my phone because it was always too. I always felt like I can never I can never put things in the right place, and the calendar kept jumping around, and I never knew where to click. Some kind miraculously, I was able to found the calendar, just a regular iPhone calendar, and I've been using it for the last few weeks. I love it. It makes things so much easier for me, and I noticed that if I put my own workouts or times that I need to do something for me, my self care, like my lifting, which body part I'm gonna lift, or my cardio, my flexibility training, when I put it in my calendar, right in between my Zoom training, or right in between my kids' school when I have to, help them with school, I notice that I actually do it. So discovering my calendar on my phone is definitely as trivial as it may be to some people. For me, it's huge. I found how to keep my schedule better on my phone. So if you have
Yeah,
been,
and I think. Right. I think where you're going with is basically, trying when you have a certain habit that you're trying to implement, you definitely need to try out different solutions or different tactics, what's going to work for you, because you may have, like you said, you might have had a certain plan in place, and that plan was working good to a certain degree, but then something happened where you need to be able to be flexible and adjust a little bit differently. And so you do at some point need to be able to have that flexible mindset in a
Yes.
sense, right? That things that you originally had planned do not need to be planned. They're not set in stone. You need to be able to kind of fluctuate and adjust based on what's happening as well. But your core, I think the core belief here is that in the process of you going through a certain habit, you always become you become a you become almost a different person, I want to say. And I don't want to say a different person in a sense that you're completely different, but you really need to kind of ask yourself the question, like, who am I becoming by achieving this goal, right? You start to have a certain identity with your goal. So if you think about a person who exercises every day, right? When they started out, they themselves did not see themselves, let's say, as an athlete. But over the course of time, as you continue to go to the gym and exercise, right, the concept of you being an athlete you really start to believe it, because you start to associate yourself with, what does an athlete do? An athlete goes and exercises, they train every day, right? And this is what you do yourself. So that you're now committed to becoming that particular type of a person. And so that becomes your now identity. So with any habit formation, whatever it is that you're trying to choose, understand that you have to become almost, your identity has to become what your goal is.
Yes.
And
Which
so, mhm, go ahead.
which causes people, especially people, if we're sticking to the gym and the nutrition part, causes people to appear as obsessed. And this is where,
Absolutely. But you have to be obsessed with a certain goal. Otherwise, you won't be able to attain a certain result. Listen, anyone can just come in and just, anyone can just show up to the gym, right? You can just show up and not do much. And there's a lot of people that do that. They just kind of there just to talk and maybe, I don't know, whatever they do. And obviously, it's very clear by, you know, their results as to what their outcome is, right? Yeah, people who are labeled to be obsessed, they are just so driven by their goal and making
yes,
sure that what they want and who they associate themselves to be is met.
right. It's
That's what it is.
and when people, and then they say you have to have balance in your life, and you got to have balance. You got to you be able to us. You and I both know there is no balance. There's
There's
no
no true
balance.
balance. There's no
No true
true
balance.
balance. I agree. There's no true balance.
You either
It's always going
jacked
to
or
be a give and take. It's a give and take.
you either
It's
jacked or you either
Yeah,
strong as fuck,
that's right.
or it's true. Like, look at every athlete, and I mean every athlete, they become an identity of the sport. Depends on how you train and what you need. You develop that particular physique or that particular body type that enables you to perform on that level. That's true. So when we talk about the cosmetic athletes and they're going on a stage to show their body, very few. Yes, there are some that you and I both know that it can be really, like, their physique is phenomenal and their strength is unbelievable. But most of the time you don't appear like you become what your sport is.
Yeah,
Look at
yeah. It's
swimmers,
it's
look at
it's
gymnasts, look at runners, look at boxers. That's so true. Look at cheerleaders. You know,
Truly. But yes, it becomes an identity, and I think the biggest
because people
takeaway
are
is
so
if you want,
driven.
yeah,
Because
and the biggest takeaway is you have to love that process. That's what we talk about. It has to be it becomes part of your life. It's who you are. It's a process that you fall in love with, not the end result. So
mm,
if you're always chasing just the goal, right? The end result, you will never have it. You will never stick with it because just wanting to look good in your dress or you fitting into a certain pair of jeans, because all it is just an aesthetic type of goal that you're chasing, you're not really going to be able to stick to those habits because it's not a big enough motivator going to be for you when it becomes very difficult and you're going to have those roadblocks and you really need to dig inside you why you really need these things. Why are you doing it? It's that's what it is. Yeah, you got to love the process. You got to love the process of almost improvement. That's all it is, right? It's a process of
No,
improving yourself nonstop. It doesn't stop just because you reached your goal does not mean you now get to go back to your life.
because
No,
there's no
you are your life. What you did,
yes.
that is
Yeah.
your life now. And if you don't pay due for it, guess what's going to happen? You're going to go revert. You're going to
Yeah.
revert back.
Revert to habits, and you're gonna create bad habits, like the habits that you had before that originally
Hmm.
kept you where you are. You know, talking about talking about that we're gonna stick to fitness and nutrition, but I'm gonna go back to gardening now that you develop a garden. So same thing. I think I'm going right. I think I make sense because if you if you want a cucumber, right? You can do
Hmm.
a shortcut. You can go put on your fucking mask, stand in a goddamn line, and buy a goddamn cucumber. Because there are plenty of cucumbers in any grocery store. Stop buying all the cucumbers. They have them. They're not out of. So, and it's a shortcut. Shortcut. But if you really like the nature and you want to like that fucking dirt, and some people like digging in that goddamn dirt and they want to grow a goddamn garden. So for them, it's not eating that cucumber or looking at that cucumber, on their plate. It's seeing it grow. A flower. You can go and you can buy gorgeous flowers, any color that you want. Go buy them. It's a shortcut, but you want that flower come out of the dirt. So you gotta like the gardening. So if you just like the cucumbers, doesn't mean it,
That's
right?
right.
So that
That you're
goes with the
absolutely
class.
right.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So you got to like that process of getting, of just, whatever your exercises you do, is it your, yoga, whatever your bar. Some people, this is what happens. Like some people find an exercise and they just get upset. The bar people, the yoga people, the crazies, the one that drink the Kool-Aid of that, which is fine. They get upset. They do that bar every fucking day. Listen, I love bar. Do I love
Because
it
they start to associate themselves
with that?
as that type of a person, which is fine, but that's what it is. It's
But
finding something that you love so much and something that you can stick with, and then you associate yourself with that identity, and then this is going to allow you to implement and keep
right,
that habit, right? It's like we always go back to like the simplest tasks that we have habits of, like brushing your teeth. You didn't develop the habit of getting up and brushing your teeth overnight. It was years and years of development, right? From the time you were little, your parents telling you to brush your teeth. So guess what happens? If you
can
want
we
good
not talk
hygiene, you
about
want to
teeth?
have teeth. Listen, no, we're gonna
Can we
talk
not
teeth
talk
because
about
if you want, no, we're talking teeth because
sensitive subject for me?
when you're running late, listen, I'm going to explain this. When you're running late, right? Let's say you wake up late and you're like, shit, I got to be at work in like 10 minutes. You don't say, oh, I'm not brushing my teeth. I'm just going to work, right? You don't care if you're going to be 10 minutes late. You're going to brush your teeth because why? You have that habit and you have an identity that you don't want to have bad, bad hygiene, right? You go and do it.
I am motivated differently. See, we have a different motivation. I don't care about my habit. I want my teeth. I'm so scared not to have my teeth that I will fucking do anything. My teeth come first. It's got to be my teeth
See?
because I love
That's your
teeth.
identity.
Yes,
That's
I
your
love
identity is
teeth.
because you love teeth.
I do. I love
That's
teeth.
why you take care of your teeth. There you go. So
Right.
so yes,
Yeah, so
it's
everyone is
again.
motivated by different. It's true. That's true. Everyone is motivated by different things. Like last night, I was extremely tired and I could not keep. I had to sleep, so I didn't charge my phone. I couldn't. I couldn't. But guess what? Before I before I went there, I brushed my teeth. Isn't that funny? I did not charge my phone, and I knew I charge my phone every night because I use it. I use it to work. I use it to train myself. I need my phone, but I was too exhausted from a few days before, from the few days of not sleeping. So I did not charge my phone, but I did brush my teeth because my motivation of having my teeth is stronger.
Stronger, that's right, than having your phone work.
Yes.
So there you go. Exactly.
I
So I think
think
the
that's,
biggest takeaways, yeah, go ahead.
go ahead. That's what
I
I
was
want
gonna
to
say
say.
I was gonna say the biggest takeaways is just finding not a you want to find that your goal needs to be very, very defined as to exactly what it is that you're trying to achieve and your why behind it. And then, you need to have that process that you can actually implement. And it needs to be, like we said, it needs to be very, very thorough as to I am going to do the following thing at this particular time, at this particular date, right after I do the following. You really need to set yourself up for success by actually implementing it just like that for that habit to actually stick.
Yep, you need a plan, the plan that works. It needs to be a way it's accessible where you can see it. It needs to be something that you want to do. If you don't like certain things, don't say you're gonna do them. You're not. Find things
You
that
know,
you want to do. You just
that's right.
it's so being honest about it and being flexible about it, but not necessarily giving yourself a leeway out, but changing so you can keep moving on or realizing, you know what, that's not what I want. I need something else. Just being constantly being self-aware in order, being self-aware really, in order to, make changes and in order to grow. Because one more thing that I want to say, and I think we talked about it, there is really no true maintenance. So it's you're either getting better or you're getting worse. I
Yeah,
learned maintenance
absolutely.
sense. You're either getting better or you're getting worse. I mean, I'm older than you, and we know it. I mentioned it many times, way older than you. I had tried and true things, and I know you have a very good way of like scientifically finding the reasons, and they do work. But a lot of times, you find practical application of things, or practically in life things that work a little bit. Yes, it's simple, but not the way that we think they're gonna work. So for me, maintenance, like they say, hardest thing is maintenance. Really, no true maintenance. Either getting better or you're getting worse. So, but it becomes better, becomes scaled down because at certain time it cannot be better. When you develop a certain physique, you cannot keep getting more and more muscle. No, it's just not gonna happen. You kind of a plateau a little bit. So getting a little bit stronger each day or each month, it becomes your maintenance because or you
Correct.
can
So it
completely give
becomes,
up.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
get
So what your basic, so for what it is that your
so
maintenance is not a maintenance meaning you're going to
if you're in a
stay the
stick,
same. The maintenance is you probably are going to stay the same for a long period of time, but over this time that you theoretically look the same or implementing the same, let's say, habits, right? You still are focusing on something that you're
yes,
improving on.
yes.
Because
So
without it, you're
exactly,
absolutely right. You won't,
you
eventually
regress.
something has to give. You do. You start to regress. Yes.
And you regress, and a lot of times people say it's easy. It's you regress faster than you progress. So true. You regress fast. Well, at least mentally you feel that. Because the truth of the matter is you probably don't so much, but mentally, because there's so much of our habit formation and sticking to the habit is that mental piece that we're talking about, motivation or why. If you feel that when you regress faster. You lose your strengths faster. You lose your looks faster. You lose what, it's really, so a lot of it is just mind piece that we're talking about. So yes, keep progressing because if there is, you either go up or you go down.
Or you go down. You're absolutely right. Yeah. No, no, that's 100% true. I definitely agree with it. I do.
Yeah.
I do. There's different ways to look about things, but even with maintenance, it is still an important piece of a lot of your nutrition and fitness goals that you have because in order to progress after, let's say, a diet, and we're going to just briefly touch on it, right? When you diet, in order to lose weight, I'm going to be, regardless of what, whoever's listening, understand that there is no magic to losing weight. You need to be in a caloric
Really?
deficit. There is no magic. There's no magic pill. There is no
No.
magic pill. No, there's no red or blue pill to take. So
Darn.
Right. I know. I'm sorry to
They
burst
sell
everyone's
them. Oh my
bubble.
gosh. But go to the store and they say fat burner. So it's not gonna fry my fat. It's not gonna fry my fat so I can fry my chicken, so I can eat my chicken.
Right, right. No.
I'm sorry. Okay, I just had to say they sell them. Do you know they sell
That
them?
I of course they sell them because what they're doing is they're selling people promises, knowing that this is what people want,
And
and
you know
people
what
are willing. Can I? You know that they actually did a study. I'm going to bring in just a quick little thing.
they
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 did a
sell you a
study on
habit to
people.
take the pill. They sell you a habit to take that goddamn pill
Right.
every day.
Right, but can I tell you something? They actually did a study that even though people want immediate gratification, right, and they're looking for fast results, which would be like taking a pill, even if a person would get those pills, and they actually did studies, they said that a person would not even do it 50% of the time, even with a pill that is so easy to do. They have
They will
been,
not.
it's, they would not. It's 50% of the time the person would take the pill. And we're talking about how easy it is to just take a pill, and if that was the reality of things.
But you know
So
what?
this actually shows you that anything that is worthwhile for you as a human being to achieve requires work. Even if you take these shortcuts, those shortcuts are not going to work. It's going to be a very temporary thing.
Unless you're prepared to take the temporary thing day in and day out, unless you're prepared to starve yourself or exercise 3 hour a day or whatever people do, the extremes they go
But
to.
that becomes, yeah, but that becomes,
That's yeah,
then
it needs sustain.
now it becomes already not a habit. That becomes
R-
now a totally different disorder. That becomes a disorder at that point. So to some extent, and we're not going to touch on disorders because
Yeah.
that's a totally,
Yeah.
that's not
So
in
we
our realms to
yes, we
discuss
go
about
back
things
to
like
the
that.
dieting and lost weight and maintenance. That's what we. That's when I interrupted you about fat burners that they sell
Yeah,
the.
yeah, right. And people still 50% of
Right.
the time will forget to take their fat burners that they think is an easy way out. So yeah,
Yeah, there is
exactly. But
no, there is no easy way out. And then you're saying even you lost the weight, then you come to that maintenance phase, and that maintenance phase, guess what? It's still dieting. Remember, we still still your nutrition. You still have to maintain that certain level of your of food or whatever you want to call it. I'm just trying to find a good word or diet to keep up with. So you still have to stay in that certain calorie budget or whatever type of diet you're in order to maintain that result, because your body is gonna you're gonna want to go back to eating that the way that you used to the habits that you used to have that kept you from your goal of being at a certain weight. So it still continue to be on a diet. So there is no true maintenance. You continue dieting your whole life, or eating the certain way your whole life.
yeah, I mean, if we're as long as we are gonna define the word diet again
Right.
from our first episode, is how you eat. It's not. People have a misconception of the word diet that it's you are on a diet to lose weight. A diet
No,
is how you eat. So as long as let's just be clear about that. So there is no, in a sense, miscommunication between individuals thinking that they
and
have to be on a lifelong diet to lose weight.
so,
It's not a lifelong diet. It is a habit that you start to form, and eventually, after you do lose, the weight or whatever, yes, you can up your calories slightly in order to get your metabolism back up. But guess what? You still need to be able to adhere and do what got you to
yes,
this goal of yours. You're not just going to stop it. And if you do, again, you're going to go backwards.
that's
That's
your
it. You're either
that's
going to
your
go forward. Yeah. So the maintenance is still a progress. You're still moving
yes.
forward. You're absolutely
Thank you.
right.
That's in
Yes.
fitness. In fitness is the same. So if you got to a certain level of strength or a certain speed as your runner or a certain level of whatever kind of athletes, come each certain level of what you're trying to develop in your fitness, you can just stop, because guess what? You're gonna lose that skill. So you're gonna have to keep it at a certain level. To keep it at a certain level, as we all know, we need to train a little bit harder, because your body, it's adaptation process. What happens? You adapt, and it's a beautiful thing, because to adapt is a beautiful thing. The species that survive in wilderness are the one that adapt. So, but in order to keep adapting, you can have to give yourself a little more, a different stimulus or something else. So just so you keep adapting to a higher level. So that becomes, this is where I guess we were going with our, habit formation and sustainability and everything else, that it's no true maintenance. You achieve something, you get to a certain level, and you just keep those progressing little by little to
That's
maintain
right. It's
or get
going to
better.
be it will be smaller, longer progressions and smaller progressions
Yes.
because it is you're going to have to overcome the plateaus, and those plateaus become not as easy to overcome as when you're just a beginner starting. So yes, you're absolutely right.
So when you can lift, when you go to the gym, and now that you can leave the gym, right? So, and you need a bigger gym so you can lift more things. Remember at the beginning when you first started, oh my gosh, I just upped my weight by 10%, by 20%, whatever. You just keep getting stronger as fuck because you're good at getting stronger. That's your skill or that's your talent. But at some level, yeah, you cannot go and lift two gyms. You just can lift one gym. And that,
That's right.
and then,
And I'm gonna, you know what, you brought up a very good point because I'm gonna like, for me, I was working my bench press, right? It took me 9 months to go up by 5 pounds.
right,
And a person, I just want you to understand, like, for a person to understand that it's not you picking up and curling, a 15-pound dumbbell and going into a 20 down pound
yes.
dumbbell. That's, I mean, in a sense it is, but that's
That's
what my progression was for me to be able to up my weight on my bench press. And I'm a power lifter, so for those who don't know, I power lift, and for me it's all about your one rep max as to what it is that the most that you can lift. So for me, 5 pounds, it took me 9 months to get there. And if
right.
I gave up
Isn't that
and I said,
crazy?
oh, screw this, so screw this, it's not going anywhere, well, guess what? Then I would have regressed. I would not get better. So for me, it's not the end result of lifting more weight, even though yes, that is the end result, right? That's always the goal. However, it's the process. It has been always the process of how I can get better, how I can refine my technique, how I can build, if I need to build more muscle, or if I need to see if I have an imbalance to fix. It's always it's in this journey to get to
That
your goal.
you that you are in, that you are associated with, that you love. So that's what keeps you coming to the gym, to for that small goal of 5 pounds, but to make a relevance to our progression. When you first started, remember how much bigger the percentage of your, how
Of
stronger you were
course.
getting. But it's the same thing with the diet. People say, oh my gosh, I started on a new diet, or I looked at what I'm eating and I removed certain foods that don't serve me well. I lost 5 pounds in a week. Now, when you are lean and you're trying to prepare for the competition, how long does it take you? I mean, when you are like already lean, you cannot like start losing 5 pounds. Like, it ain't gonna happen for you
Oh
to lose.
no.
Yeah. So this is the same relevance. It becomes, so there is, like, for you now, you're at a certain level of your strength that you develop over the years, that your increments are way going to be smaller, but you're still progressing than a novice that just starting, that has the aptitude and an inspiration to lift. They will probably progress faster.
Of
You know,
course.
I
Yeah.
mean, into like for them 5 pounds increments, to lift, like you
They
said,
have very
I can,
quick jumps.
yeah. So
Yeah, their
that's,
their jumps are going to be within weeks, sometimes even days, depending on where they are. But eventually, you're going to hit. Everyone has their
yeah,
own plateaus that they
plateau,
hit, be it in strength, right? Everyone has their
in
max
everything,
potential of strength. You have your
in
max potential in certain in almost everything. And once you hit those
everything.
plateaus, that is where the true work really sets in, and it's going to
And
test again
that's,
your commitment. It's going to be your back
and
to your
right,
commitment. How
and
committed are you?
100%. And as we were talking, remember somewhere in the beginning of our podcast today, and you were saying that maintenance or sticking to a habit is breaking plateaus all the time. This is what you're gonna do while you're in a
Right.
process. This is what, it's everything. It's as in any kind of a process that you create, in any kind of a habit, it's breaking that plateau all the time. It's not easy. Sometimes you don't want to brush teeth. You're right, you don't. But it becomes so intrinsic. You just do it anyway. So same
Hmm.
thing. I mean, you don't want to go to the gym, or you don't want to go stick to your training, but you do it anyway. because
Because
and
you're
I guess that's
committed.
yeah.
Because you're committed and you already developed that habit over a certain period of
and
time, and
and
it's already it's part of you. It's who you are, and it's no matter how
identity.
much I may not. It's no matter how bad of a day I may have, and I don't want to go to the gym, but I ask myself that question: Who am I then? You know what I mean? Would an athlete not go to the gym, right?
Yeah, and
What
now in the
you got to ask yourself these questions: Who you identify yourself as? Would that person not do that? Those following tasks that
should
you don't want to do now.
I mean, even now, I mean, I guess because I still stuck in the clusterfuck, and our commitment is tested to fitness and to nutrition. This is also like some asking yourself, okay, I don't have a gym, but I have not lifted a weight in a week. I mean, yeah, I pack, take your laundry detergent, go buy a laundry detergent, and start doing some rows with that laundry detergent. Just find a way to do something because
Yes.
that's where it starts, and that's what maybe you decide you can use laundry detergent all the time to lift weights. Why not? You know that vacuum cleaner weighs 25 pounds.
Oh,
Vacuum do
interesting.
you have, do you have
It
a
depends
vacuum?
which one. Yeah, but mine is
The
small, so mine
average
probably does not weigh.
the
Mine
average
does not weigh
vacuum
25.
the average
I have a
vacuum
small one.
the average I love vacuum cleaners. A vacuum I love. Do you know I love vacuum cleaners? I love vacuum
Really?
cleaners. Yes, I do. But because
Interesting
I
fact
like the
about
noise,
you.
I like the noise they make. They make this soothing noise. But the vacuum,
So you
they
mean it's
would.
like a lullaby? It's like a lullaby for you. So do you put it on before you go to sleep?
I like to. Yeah, if I when I put it on and vacuum, it's just the same thing. It just gives just that the meditation, almost like the sound of in yoga.
Okay, so I'm gonna make a mental note that when there is gonna be a very special time, I need to get you a gift. I'm gonna get you a beautiful
Perfect. I
vacuum cleaner.
vacuum. I actually have quite a few of them because I like vacuums. I think it's amazing how they clean and just the process is pretty cool. But where I was going to is vacuum weighs 25 pounds. Guess what? I know for you it's not a lot, but pick that sucker up and you want like RDL. You know what I mean? It's 25 pounds. Just do it. I know for you probably can do a concentration curl with that, but it's kind of a bulky. But anyway, I'm just saying your household items weigh. They do. So find
Yeah.
something, it doesn't, I mean, obviously you cannot, just really stay focused on when it's something so silly, but just find something that sparks that motivation and go for it. Otherwise, yes, it's a trick. It's tricky, not to regress completely.
Absolutely. So, we're gonna end off the segment with just asking everyone if you guys like the podcast, you like how the topics we've been talking about, definitely subscribe, hit the subscription button, and leave us any comments that you have. If there's anything that you'd like for us to discuss or hear, if you guys have your own stories that you want to share with us, please do so. You can email us. There's an email, and then as well as there's a comment section, so you can always comment for us. And all of the links for our social accounts are also listed, so you guys can get in contact with us directly. We'd be more than happy to hear from you and talk to you.
It's also if we went on a discussion, we talk about things covering a lot of topics and going in every direction. So if you're listening and so we hopefully we get to the point that you want to hear. But if we ever do not going on that path and not hitting the point that you actually want to hear or leave something unanswered, please, find a way to reach us. And it should be easy because we can on Facebook, on Instagram, and like Yana said, the email, and let us know where we fell short to reach that point that you were looking for. The answer.
Absolutely. All right. Peace out.
Peace out.